Okay, I'm gonna totally say this name wrong. Is it Shihab? I don't know, man. I don't know. But this portfolio is the spicy. Like just looking at like this one, like, oh boy, what an atomic blast. Just looking, oh my gosh, look at that material. How is it phonetic? How you doing, man? It's good to see you in chat. Imposter syndrome, help me. So you're a senior contract artist at Decagon. You got quite a bit of Decagon stuff in here. Okay, so overall perception of what I'm seeing here, what you want to be or what you do is your I mean, all I see is senior contract artist. So I assume that you're capable of kind of doing everything, right? I don't see environments here in here, so I'm assuming you're a props or a weapons artist, hard surface artist. Other than that, I guess senior contract artist, I would debate that it might be better to say what type of contract artist you are. You know what I mean? I think it would be good to say. I mean, your portfolio speaks for it, right? But just clarifying. That way you will continue to get work in the direction you're interested in more often than not. But yeah. So your thumbnail game's pretty strong. It's not often that I see, if I remember correctly, it's not often that I see Decagon logo in the bottom right corner versus center bottom. This logo is pretty cool looking. But yeah, you've got a lot of Decagon stuff. You tend to do close-ups. I would watch out for tangents like this little corner edge here. You got some good colors in here. The backgrounds of your assets are different, which is kind of interesting to me. Like some of them, I guess you're going for like what, complementary colors for their backgrounds? Because in these, it's different. So your thumbnail, oh, this is interesting. Nice. I like your presentation. Dang, that's hella thin down there. That is one tube going on. Let's see here. So looking at your thumbnails, I'm seeing weapons. I'm not seeing an order to your work. I guess I'm seeing these are pieces of art that I made that are personal. Then I'm seeing the Decagon assets afterwards. And then there's an article. So it's personal art, article about personal art, and then work. I think that's how. Why is it censored? What's censored? Hang on. Let me get the also the extra details are wanting to be overall art direction on my props, lighting, and presentation was the interest. Just in case. Thoughts on the lack of banner art? I don't mind it. I mean, if there's an asset that you think would really like blow you up, and it goes across like with this one, this makes sense, right? But this looks clean. It makes me think that maybe the thumbnails down here should be cleaner. There's a lot of detail going on, and I think maybe if you were framing in your thumbnails, if you were framing the detail a little bit closer, so that way it's not a lot of noise and it's more focused into certain areas. Like this one's pretty good. This one feels a little dark. And then your articles, I would say you should probably put your articles, my personal opinion is putting the articles at the very end, because that's not your portfolio, right? That's more of like, hey, I did an article post. This is more for like your blog, but I understand putting it in here. I have one in my portfolio, but just putting them near the end, and then just really letting your personal work shine, and then your Decagon work shine afterwards. But Gabs, if you DM me that on the Discord, I'll respond to you. I'm just gonna try and keep focused on the portfolio. So strong pieces. I mean, all of your assets look pretty strong. Let me see this one, because the thumbnail on this one makes me feel like it's not as strong for some reason. I'm not sure why. I think it's... So the screen is saving you a little bit. And the strap in the back, because they have different roughness values to the other surfaces. I think this actually comes off weak in the thumbnail because it doesn't feel like there's variety in the roughness. Like this back area looks more interesting to me than the front because I can see the strap material and your understanding of your the roughness value of this versus this material. There's screws in here that probably have a different roughness to this like plastic. And there's some metal up here, and it's just seeing those differences that I think really kind of push that detail, right? So I think if you were to look at your thumbnail here, like everything is relative to how much you're showing versus like how much room you have to work with. Let me see if I can get this. Let's move this forward here. I think that's off, but whatever. We'll make it work. Just gonna invert this. Now we have a little hole for the work. Are these super high res as well? Oh yeah, they are. So see, I think getting up nice and close is pretty interesting. Like even if it was like this angle, or like this type of detail, maybe you could even tilt this. Let's see, I'm just kind of... This edge is giving you very little room to work with. I think if I were to go in and just like do that way, I've got room. Because I actually really like this piece here. So doing that, see, I'm now seeing different roughness types, and there's a metal material there, and just more variety. And it makes me want to click on it because I'm wondering what the hell that is. There's a bit of a strategy in that. Yeah. Anyways, so your thumbnails in general, I think all kind of have that problem. And I think if you were doing close-ups like that, that's when it's gonna shine. I do this gun too. It's like cause see, like when I look at it here, it's now much closer, right? And I'll just put it to the side here. It's easier to digest, I guess, is the best way to put it. So it's just kind of searching around for a good... I think this spot is quite interesting. So doing this, maybe it needs to be a little bit smaller. But doing this type of close-up is much more interesting to me. I mean, even looking at it like that is kind of cool. But yeah. So keep that in mind with your thumbnails. Let's see, strong pieces. So I mean, your decagon stuff looks really nice. Your personal stuff, like this one's actually, I think this one's the weakest one, and it might just be the thumbnail. Yeah, see how dark it is? It's really dark. It's really dark. See if we go and look at our levels here. You can bring it up a little bit. Like I don't want to bring the highlights up. I want to bring the shadows up a little bit. Maybe the highlights go down. See, this is much easier to look at. Of course, the background is brighter, and I think when you had the background darker, it looked better. But you can see how much more the metal kind of just shows itself. Oh yeah, just a side thing. Associate is like, so associate or junior. It's like you intern, junior or associate, then mid-level or just the title, environment artist, for example. And then you have senior, and then usually it goes to like either expert or lead if the company has a branch. And then yeah, keeps going. Like level I think Microsoft has level 1, level 2, and level 3 artists. Mega expert. You have architects. I've heard of architects before. Anyways, I think this is the weakest one. I wouldn't necessarily say it needs to be removed. It's maybe reassess the way it's rendered so it's not so dark. And then frame up like a nice close-up of one of the parts of it. The article, again, I would say put on the end there. And the decagon stuff's interesting because it's kind of hard to frame those types of assets, right? I can tell that you're trying to, like, how do you put this one in a thumbnail? You know? Yeah, that's an interesting one. So these are quite difficult to frame. I think this one's framed pretty well, and it looks like you're doing some maybe some shadowing around the edges to kind of like focus the shot in. I think I don't know what to do about your decagon stuff. Maybe center up the logo a little bit more, but that's more of a personal taste. So is the idea to keep the same distance in the thumbnail and artwork image? I would try and stay consistent with the scale of the detail, right? So if you have high frequency detail and then low frequency detail, so like high detail, low detail, or like areas of rest and areas of high frequency, try to do the same ratio you would on the content itself. 30% high detail, 70% like calm, easy to look at. So if you could do that with every one of these thumbnails and the size of the high detail is relatively the same in each thumbnail, you're going to be, the work is all going to look more consistent, right? Mike Mayart, regard to the dark pick. Here's a trick. Duplicate the layer, switch top layer to soft light, reduce by 50%, then go into the hue sat, Control U, and drag the hue to the far left or right. Let's try that. Okay, so you're saying dupe this, switch the top layer to soft light, and then reduce to 50%. You're talking about this layer going down to 50%. Then go to hue and saturation, which is Control U, and drag the hue to the far left or far right. What is going on here? Wait, what? It made it darker. Oh, and I have to invert this as well. What? Oh my God. Wait. I've never seen this trick before. That's freaking sick, man. Okay, hang on. So you do the layer. We go soft light, invert the layer, lower the opacity to 50%, then Control U to get to the hue and sat control, and then move this either this way or this way. I wonder why you're saying that way. Dang, dude. And then you can actually control it doesn't have to be 50%. That's interesting. The more you blur the new layer, the sharper the image goes. Oh, I see, because it is getting blurred a little bit by this image. Anyways, that's a cool trick, man. I have not seen that before. Uh, so strong piece. I mean, I think this one is my favorite. We looked at the weakest piece. This stuff is like, that's crazy. That looks awesome, man. Overall perceived strength is, I mean, your execution, your quality of execution looks consistent, and probably your weaknesses or perceived weaknesses are the lighting of this one for some reason. But my brain's like, why is this so dark? Because I can see in your other stuff that's not really a problem. So that's kind of odd. But yeah, you've got the fidelity, man. You got that detail. You're hitting those detail spots in my brain. I'm like, oh man, this is nice. Oh, look at the roughness differences in there. Oh my gosh. That's some good stuff in here, dude. Nice color choice too. How old is this? This one's 2 years old. And let's see this one. This one is a month ago. So definitely a lot of growth from you as well. I would say maybe you could lower the amount of decagon content you have in here. The dark one's very old. Man, I would just straight up remove it then. Like 5 years ago. Holy cow. That explains so much. Yeah, I would just remove that. It instantly makes your portfolio much stronger. Yeah, that's interesting. Suggestions for moving forward. I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to just keep making props? You like making props? Because, I mean, I would just suggest maybe, like, I'm not seeing any organic type things in here. And maybe you don't want to do organic stuff. Uh, Maybe some more molded type surfaces. Right now I'm seeing a lot of like this is a little bit more molded, right? Where the material is all kind of like created from the same piece of metal, or that's the idea behind it. You're trying to learn designer and slowly moving towards environments. Oh, interesting. I mean, knowing that, I think you should make an environment. That's the next step. Oh, Mike, that's crazy, man. Yeah, this art's crazy. This is freaking amazing. I would so you got this tiny toy pistol. I'd make a few other toys of this quality and then just make a little shelf, right? And get some dust in there. It's like the forgotten toys, and just have the shelf with really old toys. Just a layer of dust in there. Cuz then you're not going real big with an environment, because like if you're just transitioning into environments, I would strongly suggest just going that route. You know? Just look at, what do I need to do to make a scene? Like make an environment. And it can be as easy as like 5 or 6 props on like a piece of wood that's like a shelf in the back. An old treehouse full of old toys. Yeah, that would do it, man. You just have some wood planks. You have the shadows of the leaves coming in, from the sun hitting it's just coming in, it's hitting the ground around you. And there's a few leaves on the inside there. And I mean, you have an environment. If you can tell me in that one image that you're in a treehouse without having to go full on and build a treehouse, I think that's a great idea. It's like a diorama where you try and get the viewer to view the scene that you're not showing them. Right? I imagine you're probably going to need a comic book or two. I totally suggest starting with small environments. Get used to it. Dioramas are fine. Like, start single assets, model assets, no textures. Just match reality. Then move on to unwrapping, get that figured out, get your baking figured out, then texturing. Once you understand texturing, modeling, all the UVs, all the technical stuff behind it. Yeah, Zoltan knows you will drown if you do large environments, especially when you haven't done them before. But yeah, once you've got that done and you figured out like, okay, this is how I make environments or how I make a prop. Then an environment is just a collection of props that are related to each other in a logical way and have lighting and composition. So you can start with dioramas, really small little like gatherings of assets. So I think that's how I would suggest moving forward with that. Let's go here and see what you've got in here. Extremely motivated and hardworking to constantly develop my skills and grow professionally. Yeah. I'm an expert on creating game-ready, unique trims and hybrid assets. I would say with over 4 years of experience. Emphasize on precision and overall visual quality. Always keen. I love this word, keen. So sad it wasn't part of my vocabulary growing up. Always keen to learn and adapt with the latest tools to get the best out of it. Very nice. And then the article. I don't know if you can add a space, but I would totally add a space here. That way this separates itself out. Maybe even separating this part out. So it's like you've got your block of text and then a space, then this line, a space, and then the interviews. Any articles or publications, anything like that, I would totally link in here. This is great. You've got all your links here. This is good. Oh, yeah, dude. And the experience and present. Nice. Decagon. So with the points, this is, so when it comes to like CVs and whatnot, I would say like what your main role is there. You've got your time there as well, right? They've formatted this pretty well. So this page is almost a CV or a resume. So you have your top description and like the key role and understanding of what you do at this job. And then you have these points, right? Now these points, I would say if you want to make a shorter CV or resume, kind of keep it down to like 3 or 4 points max and really like highlight the key things that are in those points for what you do. Other than that, then it's like, okay, what do we do about if you have more? Maybe in this format, more is okay, and it's on your CV that you keep it down to 3. What are trims? Oh man, can someone link Tim Simpson's trim video in chat? But I mean, I think this is great that you're putting the article in here, and I would actually suggest that this is where all of your publications go. When someone clicks on your about page, it's just more stuff that is here to show you off in a not I'm the best kind of vibe. Trim Simpson. Oh my, that's amazing. Oh, that's good. That's really good. But yeah. No, this is R&D, very basic rigging. I would say excuse me. Trims and hybrid assets. I would word this in a way where it's like using techniques such as trim workflows and hybrid assets. I'm not sure what hybrid assets are. So keep that in mind when you have someone, maybe a recruiter's looking at this and they're not familiar with specific terms. It's possible, right? So watch for that. Yeah, and don't be afraid to make it easier to understand what you're describing. But this part, the extremely motivated and hardworking to constantly develop my skills and grow professionally. I'm like, yep, dope. But yeah, I think, you do have a blog. This isn't really in the list of things, but I think having a blog can be really powerful. I should start posting on my blog. It requires time, right? So hybrid is a mix of unique bakes and trims, trim sheets. Oh, okay. or like mask-based production with like tileable materials and nice. Very cool. Well, your portfolio is pretty solid. I'm kind of torn on how busy these thumbnails are, and I would say maybe that's the perceived weakness. It's just it's hard to look at your portfolio. But when I look at it, every piece minus this gun here. Hey, thanks for that. Thanks for the sub, man. Each one of these is very good, very well made. And I think if you remove that one, then it's more about how you're presenting your decagon work. Hard to look at in the most positive way. Overwhelmed by awesome. Yes, that's accurate. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Helpful. I'm gonna look at chat for a little bit, and then we'll get on to the next one.